is up, and just going to do some solo queue of flashmytash because he's whining, and I said that I'd do some shoutcasting of him.
Gathered in Southern California for 2 days of fierce fighting game.
Where is he? Okay, he's just in the queue. Okay, he's just in the queue. So we're gonna get into. He's just in the queue at the moment, so we'll wait on him jumping in any second. And I'm just gonna make a quick drink. I'm just gonna mute my mic back in a second. Okay, I'm back now, and flashmytash, usually known for playing AD carries or support in solo queue. Both of those roles go kind of hand in hand. You know, you tend to, as an AD carry or a support, you tend to know what the other person wants from you, and so they're quite good roles to play in terms of ability to step into one from another. But he has also played a little bit of mid, so we might see him go into that. Obviously, he's going to play the role that's needed but I'd like to see him play in something that he excels at. So I'm going to find out. He usually plays Leona actually, and Leona's really fun to watch because she's ballsy. We like ballsy. You know, if you just tuned into IEM Katowice today, you'd have seen Gambit Gaming playing ballsy. And, well, I don't even think ballsy describes their play about 2-0ing both Azubu teams, you know, because that takes some serious balls to do that. So if you've not watched my stream before, you'll know that I sometimes duocast with Laffy, and I will be doing some of that later on today. I've been trying to get hold of some kind of professional team, or reasonably semi-professional team, so I can get better VODs for you guys and get better casts of more exciting games than just crappy 1800 solo queue. But you know, we'll see what we can come up with. And if you watched IEM Katowice earlier, this whole weekend it's been pretty eye-opening, and I've seen a lot of things that I suspected might be strong right now in the meta, which is, I think Diamond Brox showed it the most, which is the Lock Up the Iron Solari, a really, really, really lovely item to pick up on a jungler. CDR, armor, HP 5, and then that shield which scales with levels. Just so makes your team so tanky. Warmog's rushing, we've seen that as well. And also, I think we've seen despite Evelyn being nerfed in the current patch we're on, in the patch they were on, I didn't think she was that game-changing. She's strong, don't get me wrong. But there was a lot of counterplay for her. And a lot of the professional teams have now figured out how to work around that. And she didn't seem as... She was banned a ton. She was banned a ton in the first 2 days. But then today, she wasn't banned barely anything. And lots of teams were playing her and picking her up, and she wasn't as successful as we've seen her in previous tournaments. And I really attribute that to the pro teams learning how to play against her, and pink wards being really, really popular as well. Pink wards, oracles having been nerfed, is not as common a pick earlier as it used to be on junglers. And so you'll find that supports and mids and junglers are putting down these pink wards in these popular warding spots, and then picking up the wards pretty quickly. We saw Edward and the support for Azubu Blaze having a pink ward fight at their blue bush, trying to get each other's pink wards, and I think they went through about 4 pink wards in the end, and it was really, really funny. So I really don't. I actually really don't like the nerfs on her on live on the patch. Now I think it's really lame. I suspect that they may have been over nerfs like they were on Diana and Rengar. So we will see what happens there. You know, Rengar and Diana both having been buffed back up or being reverted in some cases. So, well, I suspect in the coming weeks we'll see. I suspect we'll see a revert, or I've seen on Reddit the change to the proposed change to her ultimate, which could be similar to Mundo's Q, which would be nice. So that'd be interesting to see. I also saw the Iceborne Gauntlet Ezreal has now been dethroned. I literally saw no one build it, so showing how that's completely fell out of favour as well. It seemed like a lot of teams were just trying stuff at the start, then realising actually it's not as great as we first thought. What's happened? GG. Okay, so we got flashmytash on support, so I think we'll see him play some Leona. I know with players see him play some Leona because I'm spamming him play Leona. So, yeah. So there are lots of things going on like right now, and I love how the meta is changing a lot. I think it's really fun, and nothing is set in stone. Like a couple of weeks ago, people were moaning how AD mids and AD casters were ruining the meta, and how APs were falling out of favour. But all of this weekend, I've literally seen Kha'Zix mid once, maybe twice. So, you know, I don't think APs are by far and away in a bad spot. Morello was talking about bringing out an early item that could possibly build into Zhonya's Hourglass that contains armor, which would be really cool. I think that's a really great idea, because I definitely think mages struggle in terms of itemization, and that could also play really nicely into AP jungle as well, because the minions do physical damage, the monsters do physical damage, and you know, when you're ganking other lanes, it's kind of nice to be a little bit tankier, but also you want to be able to itemize for your way of primary damages, and if you can't do that, it really sucks. So that we could see more AP junglers come into favor. I mean, we saw jungle Kayle and Kayle in general coming into flavor over the last weekend, and it's somewhat an OGN as well. And I really like where that's going. I loved jungle Kayle. I thought it was really cool, and I thought I've seen it before, but not the way it was played. And actually, we've seen a lot of early aggression and these really early tower dives as well, like M5 4-man diving bot at level 2 on these like 1v2 lanes and absolutely wrecking and getting 4-minute towers and 6-minute dragons, and it's been really some amazing aggression from Gambit Gaming, and I love that. And actually, I was a little bit butthurt because I like Curse. I think Curse were played pretty well, and they lost out by a minute or something. But actually, I don't feel as bad now because Gambit Gaming really pulled their finger out in those last 2 days. When they turned up on Friday and played like up to trash, and then to come through on Sunday and to just absolutely systematically rip apart both Korean teams in what to me looked like a completely different team was really fantastic to see. So we're going to jump straight into this game now. And what have we got? So on blue team we've got, by the looks of things, Diana mid, Malphite jungle, then we've got a Leona Varus bottom lane, and then possibly Nidalee top. But Nidalee Diana could go the other way around. I mean, I've not seen it that often, but you know, I'm open to seeing other things. Then on purple team we've got what looks like a Kha'Zix mid, Xin Zhao top, Lee Sin jungle, and then a Janna Vayne bottom lane. I don't know how I feel about these matchups actually. I think Kha'Zix, I haven't seen Diana since they've reverted some of the nerfs on her, and I'll be interested to see how that matchup works out with Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix and Diana both having those gap closing leaps. Diana's resetting if she has her Crescent Slash on it. Yeah, Crescent Slash? Crescent Strike, something like that, which is her Q. Allowing her to double leap. Kha'Zix resetting on kill. So both high mobility mid laners and able to get around in these fights, deal a lot of burst based damage, and are able to lock people down with the AoE slows as well. So depending on how Diana can itemize, I think she might have a tough time. But if she gets that shield up and able to get that out and keep it going and avoid some of Kha'Zix's damage with that, she could have a really nice time in lane. Especially with those level 6 ganks from Malphite. They can work so well together, and she might be able to pick herself up and kill there really easily on Kha'Zix. Similarly, Lee Sin. Haven't seen him since the nerf actually, and his ganks are very strong, especially having exhaust as well. It's going to really play nicely into his kit, and if he can get onto that Diana and lock her down, she could be in for a world of pain, especially with how much burst damage Kha'Zix does as well. And depending on how Lee Sin itemizes, he could be very damagey base as well, and that's scary. Top lane, Xin Zhao versus Nidalee. Nidalee likes to juke in and out those brushes, poke a lot with those spears, and like pounce in and try and execute with her Cougar and see what she can come up with. Xin Zhao loves sticking to people. He'll use his E to get in, Q, keep that knock up going with that attack speed buff. He has that armor penetration shred on his passive, so he's a really great duelist. And Nidalee struggles with people who are gap closers, especially Xin Zhao, whose gap closers is targeted and applies a slow as well. So she has to be exceptionally careful there and try and wait and use that pounce to get away from Xin Zhao and get that gap after he's closed on her. And if she can do that successfully, I think he'll have a tough time sticking to her well. Bottom lane, we've got a Vayne Janna, a pretty passive lane really compared to the Varus Leona. You know, they haven't got amazing engage they've got pretty good engage with that tornado, and they've got that slow. But Vayne, she wants to farm up, she wants to become that late game hyper carry, and I think that's primarily why we've seen Vayne take that heal, so that she's got a little bit more sustain, and she can survive some of the Leona Varus burst, which is terrifying. He has that rain of arrows, his blighted quiver with those stacks as well, getting popped with his Q as well. Wow, with the Leona passive and the W and the amount of CC she has, Vayne has to be careful. And I said about the heal, but I'm really surprised that we haven't seen Vayne taking cleanse in this situation. They have an absolute metric ton of CC. We've got Varus's snare, Leona's stun and slight snare with the ultimate, which could be a stun or a snare as well. Then we've got Malphite, attack speed slow, knock up ultimate. Diana, she's got that kind of pull in slow as well. It's a lot of CC there, and she needs to be so careful. Hopefully, though, we'll see this Janna able to protect her with that ultimate, Lee Sin with his knockback, Xin Zhao with his knockback as well. And if they can all work together, protect this Vayne, and then Xin Zhao, and then Lee Sin and Kha'Zix can be kind of assassin-y, or maybe Xin Zhao and Kha'Zix can be assassin-y, and Lee Sin can protect. They've got a lot of kit to work together to protect Vayne, and if that can happen, and happen well, and they play this into the late game, it'll be great. If Malphite can hard engage on them with Leona as well, it's going to spell disaster, and then need to be very, very careful and play and have very good micro. I predict we'll see Vayne picking up an early QSS possibly, maybe even a Mercurial Scimitar later on in the game, just so she can have that CC reduction, and maybe we'll see Janna pick up that Mikhail's Crucible, which is I think will be such a key item in this game if he can get that. So I don't think I think we'll see early aggression from blue team. Diana can check bushes really well with her Q. Malphite can start with any of his skills really in the jungle, and he's pretty tanky early on. Leona, she's probably going to start with her Q or maybe her E, which is Zenith Blade, and she's going to be able to get in there and stun the target. Varus does a lot of damage, especially with that Q early on, or maybe he'll get that AoE slow as well. All pretty good skills at level 1. Nidalee, she's able to check brushes and able to either start with the trap or the spear, so she can get some early vision for her team, and I think we'll see an invade from them. Lee Sin, Xin Zhao, okay level, they're pretty good early fighters, but in terms of CC, Xin Zhao's the only one with CC, and he's got to get those 3 auto attacks off with that Q, and if he can't do that, then that CC is not going to be applied, whereas everyone else is on blue teams is pretty much instantaneous. So I think I would expect blue team to invade on this, especially with how strong they are. I'm going to move these guys around so that we know what's going, so that you guys can see what these matchups are, and that looks about right. Both of the supports actually starting with that Biscuit and the Explorer's Ward, which is really good, which is really powerful start for them, because they can They get a little bit more regeneration, and they also get that extra little bit of vision early on, so they can so they can save themselves a little bit of gold on those wards. Janna starting with that Fairy Charm and the four wards, especially with that nerf to the price of Crystalline Flask. It's just not quite as a viable option to start with anymore. Even though it gives you a little bit more sustain, it's a lot of gold locked into one item early on, when actually you really need to get those early wards out so you can protect yourself from those ganks. Leona actually still chilling at base at the moment, and she's not got anything. Pretty passive start from both teams, and I think that's such a shame from blue team, because they had such a strong start that if Leona had actually been there, they could have really capitalized on that. Varus protecting against these things, against this red buff entrance, and purple team just chilling out down here by this blue buff, ready to give Lee Sin a nice start on the blue, and so he gets that energy regen. It's a little bit of a blue buff's a little bit weaker than the red buff early on, so with that nerf to his W, maybe he wants a safer route. I haven't seen him in the jungle recently, so I don't know how that's going to pan out. Nidalee getting these traps up really so they can protect against this late invade, and Malphite he started with that ground slam, so he's gonna have a nice bit of AoE clear. Lee Sin gonna start on these walls as well, so both junglers starting on the same side with that machete. And top lane actually we see Xin Zhao starting with those boots and 3, but Nidalee super sustain lane. She's gone with the Crystalline Flask for that mana and the health back, as well as 3 pots, so she's gonna really want to stay in lane as long as possible. And that blue buff is really doing a lot of damage to the Lee Sin here. It looks like he's going to get a Smiteless Leash there, and Malphite looks like he's not going to get a Smiteless Leash, so that's going to immediately put this it's going to immediately put this Lee Sin ahead, and it looks like we might see either a gank early from Lee Sin, which is not warded, or we might see him go straight to that red buff and possibly even duel this Malphite, who's not going to want to duel a Lee Sin with exhaust and being as strong as he is at level 1. He's got that Q straight off the bat, so he's able to get straight onto this red buff. He's gonna start on this now. Malphite coming straight across, not gonna know he's there yet, and I'm gonna show this out. Like, so this is what Malphite can see. Has no idea what's going on with Lee Sin and his buff. There's the red buff is gonna fall, and Lee Sin backing straight off. He's level 3, got all 3 of his skills. Gonna come in this bot lane. Bot lane, no wards in this tri-bush. Vayne's going straight on, gets the condemn onto the wall. Lee Sin lands that Q there. There's the cleanse with the finishing Q there, and that's first blood to Vayne. Really great play, and that condemn perfectly getting into that wall there. Really nice. Malphite without that Smiteless Leash, just so behind this Lee Sin, and this Lee Sin a great start. Kha'Zix trading out really nicely with Diana in the mid. Diana starting with that cloth 5. She does not want to come against this Kha'Zix. Lee Sin going straight onto Diana there under that turret, taking a little bit of damage, but sort of letting Diana know, I'm around here and I'm going to gank you because I'm already ahead of Malphite. And this is why you should have given Malphite a better leash early on. Kha'Zix though starting with the Fairy Charm, so it looks like he wants to build that Tear of the Goddess really early. And have a lot of spam and use those skills really nice, and use those skills a lot. Bottom lane pushing up CS wise now because of that gank. Vayne, she's got 10 CS on Varus, and she started with the Doran's blade as well. So her damage output compared to Varus, who started with those boots and has got himself loads of potions, just is not comparable, and that's a scary thing to come up against. Xin Zhao out farming this Nidalee as well. He's having a great time up top lane. Nidalee's constantly pushing this wave, and he's gonna keep this nice and frozen here on this corner, and that's gonna enable this Lee Sin, after he's grabbed himself that red buff, to come and gank this Nidalee whenever he wants. Nidalee, she hasn't got any traps out down here as well, so she hasn't got any vision, and that's really going to enable the Lee Sin to try and snowball himself further into this game. Grab those magic raves, she's going to have a really nice clear speed. And he gives him a little bit of armor as well, which is going to make his jungling that much easier and that much more sustained. Malphite not had a lot of effect on this game yet. So Lee Sin coming up the side here. Looks like he's just going to come up and try for this direct gank. Just not going to come around the side yet. Nidalee's going to back off straight away, and I think he thought Xin Zhao would go onto her much sooner. Gonna come down this river here. Possibly see a gank onto Diana right now. Diana not got a ton of mana. Minion waves in Kha'Zix's favour, but she's not on a great deal of HP. She's on about 400 HP. Here's Lee Sin here coming in. He's got the red buff. He's gonna miss the Q actually. Thought that was gonna get in there, and And actually, whilst this is going on, Xin Zhao's DC'd, so this is not looking great with being a man down. Gold difference though, looking at about 800 gold already, and that really showing how this early game dominance from Lee Sin has snowballed that gold advantage. Bottom lane farming nicely under turret, but because Varus has been pushing this bottom lane, forcing Vayne to CS under this turret, he's pulled him back into the CS race, and now there's only a five creep difference. So if they can keep this bottom river nice warded up and feel nice and safe in this bot lane with this being pushed up, they're going to force this Vayne to CS in the turret, and she's not, and doesn't seem like she can do that as well, and so possibly build himself a little bit of a lead back into this game. Lee Sin, and actually, whilst that goes on, Janna put down that ward in the bottom bush, and with the two attacks from Leona and the attack from Varus, they managed to clear that ward out on the side. Really great play. Looks like Leona's going to go straight onto the Vayne, but the tornado coming across and the condemn backing her off straight away, and she's going to feel pretty safe there. Great tornado by Janna and great condemn by Vayne to protect herself from that Zenith Blade Shield of Daybreak from Leona. Xin Zhao's still not come back yet, and this is really unfortunate because they were starting off so well. They've built themselves a 1,000 gold lead with the CS advantage that they have, especially in this mid lane. Kha'Zix's doing really well against Diana. Got himself a 20 CS gold advantage. Lee Sin waiting in side lane again, but actually, are we going to see him go straight onto this Diana here as well? Diana, she's pushed up really nicely. There's the Q. He's not going to quite get onto her, and she's going to get out of there straight away. Not taking a great deal of damage. She started with that cloth armor, really helping her out, making her feel tanky, and Lee Sin not doing a massive amount of damage. Checking out this blue buff, he knows it's going to spawn soon. Xin Zhao's reconnect, that's great. There's the blue buff come up. Ping's going down from Diana because they know that Lee Sin headed off that way. But Malphite being all the way down in this bottom lane, Lee Sin's going to be able to do this completely uncontested. He's got those Madrid Razors as well. He's got his smite up. Not going to have any problems taking this away from blue team, and he's going to feel really good having stolen that out. I'm surprised that we didn't see Malphite go straight over to their own blue buff, or possibly we might see that invade now with the Kha'Zix having gone back. Kha'Zix grabbed himself that early tier of the goddess, as well as the longsword and the null magic mantle, so he might see him build a Hex Drinker to help himself out against Diana's burst, or he might be building that longsword possibly into a Vamp Scepter or maybe into a Brutalizer. He's got a lot of build options with that, and that early magic resist as well is going to help him out a ton against Diana, who has good AP ratios and really good base as well. Lee Sin going to start on this second blue buff. Kha'Zix's going to clear out this. He's gone with that Void Spike evolution, so that's going to do a nice amount of damage and allow him to clear those waves out. And then he's going to go and get that blue buff, give himself that nice, much needed CDR and that magic resist, that magic regen to allow himself to get this tier of the goddess stacked up nice and early. Bottom lane recalling out. And in terms of CS, AD carries are both even, but Vayne having that first blood is giving herself a little bit of the edge in this laning phase. Varus has gone back. He's just picked himself up a BF sword though, so it could be pretty scary. And middle lane duking it out here. Diana dealing a ton of damage to Kha'Zix there, but actually missing that crescent strike. Sorry, and if she'd have hit that, I feel like Kha'Zix really could have given up that blue buff. Invade here though, onto this red buff by Lee Sin. Lee Sin's got himself a smite, so he can take that away from Malphite again. Malphite not got a great deal of mana either, hasn't hit level 6 yet either, so he's really behind this Lee Sin, who's now well into his level 6, and is able to just take away these buffs. He took away his red buff, he took away his blue buff, and he's taken away his second red buff. Malphite not having seen this red buff again, but Leona going straight in onto Lee Sin there with that Zenith Blade, and Lee Sin with the tornado from Janna able to get out with that safeguard safely. But in the mid, Kha'Zix dangerously low with that blue buff. Diana really wants to steal this away from him so she can have that much needed mana regen that he took away from her and the CDR. Building herself those ninja towers to really protect against his AD based damage. And Kha'Zix leaping out of there, terrified of this Diana who hits that crescent strike on him, and she's playing exceptionally well, really strong, and I'm really liking the looks of her damage, especially against Kha'Zix, who has been so dominant in the pro scene. So it's good to see her coming back into this game a little bit more after she was her kit was gutted a little bit. Xin Zhao going into Nidali here. Considering he was DC for so long, he's bringing himself back into this game. Got that Giant's belt to give himself that health, but Nidali has been able to completely farm uncontested actually against pretty much with the Xin Zhao being DC'd, but actually CS wise he's still keeping up in this, and I'm really ashamed at Nidali that she wasn't able to CS perfectly, considering that she was pretty much uncontested up in that top lane. Bottom lane, CS-wise, Varus building himself a nice little lead here. Zenith Blade missing there onto the Vayne, but Varus, Hail of Arrows coming out, doing a little bit of damage there. The shield from Janna protecting him. Malphite coming in the back, got himself level 6 now, as well as that giant spell, so he's going to be really strong as well. And I feel like we're going to see League of Warmogs this game. Lee Sin coming in the back as well. He's got to be careful of this Nidali bush. Malphite's backed off as well. And Xin Zhao trading really nice here. There's the safeguard and the ultimate from Xin Zhao. The ignites on her as well to reduce that heal. The kick's coming out from Lee Sin. Lee Sin's gone really deep on this one. Has he got enough time? He hasn't got his Q back up yet for another second. Nidali's going to get away there, and that was a little bit of a misuse from his Dragon Rage, I feel, to allow her to escape. He's rotated back round though. Whilst this is going on, Kha'Zix's taking a lot of damage in mid against Diana. Lee Sin and Malphite going to meet themselves here in this jungle. Malphite very, very strong. The exhaust coming out as well, but Lee Sin not as tanky as he used to be. Got that Wriggles Lantern. Diana's come across as well. He's going to be slowed by that Q from Malphite. Whilst this is going on though, Varus picking himself up a kill on Janna in the bottom. Safeguard out. There's the ultimate from Malphite. Lee Sin's going to get absolutely blown up here by Diana, Nidali and Malphite. Really, really great play from them there. Nidali chasing after this Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao's very tanky though, and I really don't feel like she's going to pick herself up a kill. Whilst that went on the bottom lane though, Varus and Leona picking themselves up a kill onto Janna there. And that doesn't surprise me in the slightest with how much burst damage they have and how much CC they have now that they're level 6. So, in terms of the gold, all square at 12 minutes, with the kills 2-1 in favour of blue team. So, pulling this back, Diana grabbing herself those double Dorans, really giving herself a little bit more mana regen, health, and that AP, so she can get into the middle of those fights and deal some damage, but feel safe. I feel like we'll either see her build that Abyssal Scepter or possibly a Zhonya's Hourglass. I feel like Zhonya's Hourglass will be a better item for her first, mainly because it gives her that armor, and then it gives her that nice stasis for 2 seconds to make her invulnerable to that damage, which allows her to really have a great time against Kha'Zix in lane, but also gives her the needed AP and the ability to survive these early team fights when she's not quite as bursty and able to assassinate people. Going to start on the blue buff for her, and that's going to help her out now. This is the first blue buff for her of the game, considering that Lee Sin stole that out. But in the bottom here, Lee Sin's coming down. It's going to be spotted out by this ward. We might see them start on the dragon here with two members at their blue buff. Kha'Zix pushing down this mid lane. Pink's going out here. Malphite not got his ultimate for another 40 seconds. So Lee Sin gonna start on this dragon here. But he's in a really dangerous spot trying to do this and taking a lot of damage. He's not as tanky as he used to be. Dragon's going to reset. And that's a missed opportunity there by purple team, and Lee Sin really being probably too ballsy trying to pick up that dragon when he's taking a lot of damage. So Diana waiting in these side wings here, wondering whether she can pick up Lee Sin if he tries to invade. Kha'Zix pushing up this mid lane to try and deny the Diana a little bit. She's come back to lane here, gonna CS no problem under these turrets. Leona missing that Zenith Blade onto Janna, and that could have spelt kind of doom for her there. But Janna getting picked up there by the Hail of Arrows and the Tornado coming across as well. There's the ultimate from Varus. There's the heal as well from Vayne. Vayne getting caught up by the stun from Leona. Varus picking himself up a kill. Vayne taking a lot of damage, picking up the Leona, but Varus getting himself a double kill there. Really, really great play. Whilst that went on though, it looked like Malphite and Diana picked themselves up Kha'Zix and Lee Sin. Diana very, very low going back there. But across the map, blue team picking themselves up 4 kills, whereas only Leona died to purple team, and that was a really poor play by Vayne there. She getting herself caught and not using her micro to avoid that ultimate from Leona. And if she'd have moved a little bit more and used her high mobility tumble a lot, I feel like she wouldn't have been nearly as locked down as she was. That was a great tornado by Janna as well to try and shut down most of that Varus' damage, but he hit a really great ultimate and locked down everyone really early on. Whilst that's gone on, whilst I was talking about that, Malphite picking up that dragon there, getting his team a little bit more gold in the kitty. Got a nice 2k gold advantage in their favour, and they've come back from that 1k deficit early on. So a really, really great play across the map. CS wise though, Xin Zhao having a great time against this Nidali, considering he DC'd early on, and able to trade with her no problem. with how tanky he is, especially looks like he's rushing into that Warmogs. Nidali as well looks like she's going to be rushing into that Warmogs as well. So Xin Zhao, considering he's got a little bit of a level disadvantage, he's doing okay.